Hello guys, happy holidays. So I lost my job at Amazon because I ran into negative UPT, which is their time. Um, I what happened on the day is they give you so many time of unpaid time off without an excuse, and my shift starts at 1:20 in the morning on Sunday, and uh, I tried to save the job for 3 hours. I was negative. I had was negative into this UPT. So I talked to HR, and they said, "Well, we'll try to save your job. You, I, I, I have had two other jobs at Amazon, and I just let the negative. I just you just don't show up, and you're terminated. So I really wanted to keep this job. I had trained so much at one of the first Amazons I worked at in 2018. They made a big deal in orientation. It cost $1,000 for us to get you in here and train you. And so, with peak week coming up, or peak week, Amazon Prime week coming up, they had mandatory overtime for me. So I had my 4 days, 4 10-hour days, plus a mandatory overtime, plus I picked up another day. I was scheduled for 60 hours starting tomorrow morning at 1:20. And over 3 hours of me not being there, they terminated me. It just doesn't make any sense because, but I mean, $1,000 to a company like that, it's like me finding a penny on the ground. That's what it is. So you have all these people that in orientation, this is back in 2018 when they told us this. Yeah, people that live paycheck to paycheck, $1,000 is a lot of money. So it made a big impression on me. But then right now, I'm thinking, well, that's like a penny to them. That's absolutely meaningless. But with Prime Week coming up, in Prime Week, they've made it 2 days, you guys. So I drank the Kool-Aid. I wanted to keep my job. I wanted this. I've worked at several facilities in Indianapolis. I like this one the best. So with any job, you have a few things that you need to consider. And I'm sorry I look so bad. It's because I have not had my hormones, which are coming. Um, which are coming, and I will look like 7 or 8 years younger and better and more feminine. But this is what I have to do. The hormones should be here any day, and they're coming from Vanuatu, and it was a really hard time. Blah blah blah. I don't want to. That's a whole other video. Getting them. I had a problem with the checks. I had the money, um, but that's not helping the issue anyway. But that's not why I lost it. It was because I was up. I was up for 35 hours, and I came in the previous day. I came in, and it's like we're really getting into the weeds. But this is how the jobs are. Okay, so um, you wonder why. Well, why can't it say to keep a job? Well, I'm explaining it. Okay, so um, they had me picking on the line, and they had me up at the top of the line, which the packages go really fast, and I have dyslexia. So that was a very challenging day. I couldn't sleep that day. So the next day, and they offered VTO, which means you could just get off that day. You could just leave. I said, no, I want to stay. I want to work. I want to stay. I want to work. And so I made it through the day, but then I couldn't sleep. So that next day, I was like, well, I've been up for all these hours. I'm useless. I'm absolutely useless. It's stealing from the company. If you don't get any sleep and you come to work or you're hungover, you're basically stealing from your company, because and I've done that before. I don't drink anymore. I haven't drank for 10 years. But back in the 20s, you show up hungover, you're stealing from the company. And now these people are maybe have too much weed. Like, the weed is so much more powerful, it's potentially stealing from the company. But that's not even my issue either. So the next day I show up and I'm like, well, I've been up for 35 hours. I'm going to drive to work, get the VTO, which is voluntary time off, and then the manager, who I like the manager, is like, no, we don't have it today. And so then I left, and then it left me, I was like, I can't work. I can't just be a zombie here. This is, like, I could cause an accident. Which is what they want to prevent. So then I was like, I have to sleep. I've been up for so then if I would have stayed on there, again, I work at 1:20 in the morning because we have to get the packages ready. You know, people who don't understand Amazon, they're like, my family, they're like, well, just pick another shift. It doesn't work that way. We have to get the packages ready to be delivered. That starts at 1:20 a.m. or 1:05 a.m. So that's what the job is. You can't do it. But I like the job. I like the people. I like my manager. I like the drive out of all the Amazon. So I wanted to keep this job. So I wrote a letter saying, can't I pay back this time? I'm 3 hours, you spent all this money training me, I've watched all these videos, and we're coming up to Prime Days. It was Prime Day, now it's Prime Day, and then so what they did was they said, HR said, well, we can't do anything to help you. It's gone to this team that reviews negative UPT. Okay, so I understand that. They look at case-by-case basis. So I wrote them a letter, email explaining, I didn't get sleep, I'm having adjustment problems, we're getting on the right track. If this continues, well, of course, let me go, terminate me. If this is a weekly thing, but this is the first time it's happened. You spent $1,000 training me. I watched all those videos where I could be working, and I'm ready to. I have scheduled for 60 hours this next week, and over 3 hours of me missing time, I'm terminated. I don't want to use the R word, but I think I'm a little. Why would you hang on to a job? Because I'm tired of starting over. I like the people. I like my manager. I like the drive. Out of several Amazons I've worked at, I like this one. So I have all these things, and out of 3 hours, and it was because they said, well, we're going to rotate you on stowing and picking, and I'm very good at stowing because you don't need you have any dyslexia is not a problem because you scan the package and you put the packages in the cubes. I'm very fast at that. I'm getting better every day. I get better at doing that. And so they had me picking on the conveyor belt where you have the numbers would get switched around where I would read them backwards and I'm slowing down and I'm just pissing off my coworkers. And I was like, well, I'm going to keep doing it. And the manager's like, well, you'll improve, you'll get better, and I will improve, I'll get better. But they forced me too much into that situation, and then that caused that day where I couldn't sleep, and they had me up at the front, and it was just a disaster. These are 10-hour shifts in the middle of the night. I have other options, and maybe this is what pissed them off when I wrote in the letter. Well, I have other options. I can make more money doing. I have from Indeed and Monster, I have people calling me wanting me to work in a lab or work in electronics. I don't want to do that because there's no windows. People don't make eye contact with you. It's a great job when I'm introverted. I can just listen to audiobooks, but I'm not in that state right now. I just don't want that. I want to move. I want to do that. I want to do this. I don't want to just sit there and even make more money. So I said, well, let me pay back that UPT time. Let's process this later. Let me just keep working and then accumulate and pay back the time. I want to hold on to my job. I can't imagine anyone else. Like I said, the other times I've had other Amazon jobs, I was like, well, it's noisy here. The managers are okay. Some of the coworkers are a little rude. The drive sucked. So I'll let that go. I'm not going to hold on to that Amazon job, but there's many Amazons in Indianapolis, and I've at the one I like. The only thing that is a deal breaker is I have to clock in at 1:20. My week starts Sunday at 1:20 a.m. But the world doesn't stop. The world is going on and on. The threads, the Instagram threads, the world is still going on, and I can conform to that. But that's the tightest little problem we have, is getting me on that schedule and getting me to work at the time. I can stay the 10 hours, I can stay, but just being a couple minutes late, and then I left and told the manager, I was like, well, I want VTO me today. And if he would have VTO'd me, I would have kept the job. If I would have stayed and been a zombie for 3 hours, I could have worked for 3 hours and then just clocked out and left, and then I would have had the job. And I'm going to all these great lengths, and because it is a difficult job, but I like that they have an app that controls everything. So then my app was locked and it gave me a number. So, oh my gosh, I can't fill this in. So then I called this HR team, and she wanted to know when I started, what month I started working. I'm like, you have my driver's license, you have my social security card, you have all my information, and you want to know the month I started. I'm like, I have no idea, because it got drug out, because the computer, too many people showed up, and they delayed me a week. And it was like, who remembers I've been there for several, and then she goes, you failed the security thing. This is how they treat people.